Not every piece of gear is worth the hype. In this video, we're going to be going over the top 10 overrated preps. These are general preps that are either flashy, gimmicky, or a little bit impractical. Let's get started. In a previous video, I featured overrated EDC items. This video is going to feature overrated general preps. The items that are going to be featured in this video aren't necessarily bad items. They're just a little bit overrated in my opinion. When it comes down to weight, cost, and utility, that usually outweighs any kind of cool factor. I hope that I don't get in trouble for this video. The first overrated prep are mega lumen tactical flashlights. You know the ones by all the companies, the ones that have 10,000 lumens or 20,000 lumens or 100,000 lumens. These are more just for showing off to people rather than actual functionality. You can get by with a much more inexpensive flashlight. Every single flashlight company has these mega lumen flashlights, but unless you're a flashlight collector or part of a search and rescue team, you might be better suited to spend that money on other type of preps that could be more beneficial in an emergency situation than a mega lumen flashlight. In my opinion, overrated. The number 2 overrated prep are ferro rods and magnesium fire starters. Unless you're in a wilderness survival situation, these are overrated, especially for urban use. You're not gonna light someone's cigarette using a ferro rod, and oftentimes you'll even watch these emergency shows like Naked and Afraid or something like that, and they're spending hours trying to get a fire started using one of these things. You'd be better suited just to have some Bic lighters and some stormproof matches, so you don't have to spend as much time trying to get a fire started with a spark. To be honest, I've never had to use one of these in an emergency situation. So for me, they're overrated. The number 3 overrated prep are survival axes and multifunction demolition tools. These things are heavy and expensive, and you oftentimes don't end up using them. I featured these in videos over the years, and they are cool. They oftentimes come not sharpened, and they end up being a little bit too heavy. So unless you're part of a search and rescue team or maybe a fire department, and you could store this on your vehicle, for example, you're not gonna wanna carry it in a bug out bag just because it's too heavy. They always have things like gaff shutoff valves, a hammer, an axe, and other capabilities. But to be honest, I've never ended up using this in an emergency situation, and it's no longer included in my bug out bag. These things end up just sitting in my garage year after year, and I find that I use a dedicated axe or hatchet that you could get at Harbor Freight and a crowbar more likely than I use one of these tools, which are a lot more expensive. So again, unless your job specifically calls for having one of these items, I say that survival axes and multifunction demolition tools are overrated. The number 4 overrated prep are hand crank radios, especially ones that are multifunction, that do all sorts of things, like have a compass, a solar charger, you could charge your phone, you could make coffee, and who knows what else. I find that in an emergency situation, you're not gonna wanna be doing this. Things are gonna be stressful, and you'd rather do other things than sit here trying to crank a radio to get a signal. You could easily just get by with a regular battery-powered radio and lithium batteries. These are the kind of things that you'll find in pre-made bug-out bags, maybe survival buckets and things like that. And to be honest, in an emergency situation, I don't want to be doing this for multiple minutes. I want to be saving my energy for other things. So in my opinion, these emergency multifunction hand crank radios are overrated. This one may get me in trouble. The number 5 overrated prep are Ride in the Rain notebooks. I've had these over the years, and I find that I don't use those for EDC purposes because they're way too expensive compared to normal notebooks. And to be honest, I've never had to write anything in the rain. If you're in a wilderness survival situation, maybe this would come in handy, but for general practical preparedness, you're not gonna end up using this. You're not gonna start writing in the rain. Oh, I wanna log in my journal, or I wanna write a poem while it's pouring down rain. It'd be much easier just to buy a regular notebook, store it in a plastic Ziploc bag, and just be on your way and try to find cover when you actually need to write. You'll save a lot more money that you could invest in other preps. These things do work and they are great, but they're expensive, and I find that I don't end up using them as much as I thought I would. So please forgive me, but at number 5, we have Ride in the Rain notebooks. The number 6 overrated prep are large Rambo style tactical knives. You'll see these on all sorts of YouTube videos. There's whole channels dedicated to Rambo tactical knives that you would use in a wilderness survival situation. Unless you're in a wilderness survival situation, you're probably not gonna need one of these. You could get by with a regular fixed blade knife. These ones are oftentimes incredibly expensive, and again, I find that I just end up buying it, playing with it for a little bit, and then it stays in the garage for a long period of time. They're also a little bit too heavy to include in a bug out bag, and ounces matter with a bug out bag. Ounces lead to pounds, pound leads to pain, and these things generally weigh a couple pounds. So you'd be better suited to have a smaller fixed blade knife for bug out bags and other emergency kits. Now this one's a high quality knife, but especially the Rambo style blades that you can get over at Harbor Freight, for example, that have all sorts of survival tricks of the trade like Rambo used in the movie. Those ones always break and are totally overrated. The number 7 overrated prep are survival shovels. These are multifunction shovels that are usually found in pre-made emergency kits that do a lot of different things. It's a bottle opener, it's a saw, it's a knife, it's a shovel, it's a glass breaker, it's a whistle, it's a magnesium fire starter. It has all sorts of things similar to the Rambo knife, all built into a shovel. These things are generally weak and they break down on you when you need them most. You'd be better suited to get a normal foldable shovel that you see in military supply stores. You can even get them at Harbor Freight, or the cold steel shovel that's a small wooden handle shovel that's built to last. These things aren't built to last and they're just gimmicky and they're gonna break on you when you need it most. So again, the number 7 overrated prep are multifunction survival shovels. The number 8 overrated prep are commercial grade survival food buckets. I'm not going to show the brand on this particular one, but we all have them. They all are the same thing, freeze-dried food in bags in a bucket. And you have to spend thousands of dollars to get a large year's supply of it, for example. You'd be better suited just to get your own freeze dryer over at Costco for around $1,800. I think the Harvest Right one is around that price. And make your own freeze-dried food of food that you actually eat. I feel that the prepping community has been shifting over the last several years where we're going less with the emergency food bucket approach and going more with store what you eat and eat what you store. And that means the items that you have in your pantry. What I find with these commercial grade emergency food buckets is that you don't normally eat that kind of food. You eat what's in your pantry and what you normally eat as a family. Very rarely is anyone going to say, hey Dad, could I have some of that Mountain House chili mac for dinner tonight? You're not going to end up using it. It's just going to sit in the garage and collect dust over time. And in an emergency situation, your body might not be used to eating this kind of food right off the bat. And so you don't want to have stomach problems during the apocalypse. So you'd be better suited to freeze dry your own food that you normally eat and just go with regular pantry preps rather than the survival food buckets. Now, if you do go with something like Mountain House for the survival food buckets because you found a good deal on it, those would be good to have in your bug out bags. Just open them up and put all that food in your various bug out bags, especially if you're doing bug out bags for a family. That would be a good option for one of these survival food buckets. But if you just want to have a garage filled with these things, you're going to find that you're going to buy it, you're going to let it sit there forever, and it's just going to sit there year after year after year, and you're not going to end up using it. So again, at number 8, we have expensive commercial grade survival food buckets. The number 9 overrated prep are multifunction survival paracord. We all like paracord. We even make friendship bracelets out of it as preppers. But you've all seen it. It's the paracord that has a whole bunch of different strings in it. So not only do you have your normal paracord, but you have your fire starter cord, and you have dental floss, and you have fishing line, and you have radio to repair your ham radio or something like that. Who knows? They have all sorts of different strings in here. In a survival situation, do you really want to be unwinding your paracord to get your fire starter? Probably not. You'd be better suited just to get regular cordage. I even think that bank line is a little bit better to have for most emergency kits, and get regular fire starter, like cotton balls in Vaseline, for example, and get regular dental floss and get regular fishing line rather than having it in survival paracord. To me, that survival paracord with multiple inner strands of various cool things is flat out overrated. And the number 10 overrated prep is MOLLE webbing. You know, all those backpacks and bags and organizers and pouches that all feature, oh, we have MOLLE webbing. Unless you're actively serving in the military, you don't want to have MOLLE webbing because it screams prepper or survivalist or someone that's tactical. MOLLE webbing is not gray man. If I were to go to work with a MOLLE webbing backpack and a bunch of pouches attached to the side of it, I would just look like some kind of survivalist, and I wouldn't blend in the city. I think a lot of the backpack companies are starting to get away from the MOLLE webbing for civilian use and just having minimal MOLLE webbing more for aesthetics. But it's still fairly popular in the tactical and preparedness community just to have a backpack with all sorts of MOLLE webbing all over it. And then you're also going to get your MOLLE webbing compatible pouches and attach it on the side for your compass and for your GPS unit and for your flashlight and for your knife and your emergency kit, your trauma kit. And all of a sudden you'll look like an active military member about to go to war. So again, for me, the number 10 overrated prep is MOLLE webbing. Well, now that I've offended probably a lot of people in the emergency preparedness community, I'd like to know your thoughts on this video. What are some overrated preps in your opinion? Again, things that are trendy or gimmicky or overpriced or just not used in an actual emergency situation. Leave your comments below in the comments section. As you can see, I do own a lot of overrated preps. Some of them are even cool, like the tactical knives and the mega lumen flashlights. But if I was to recommend gear for people just starting off with prepping, I wouldn't recommend any of those due to the price or the utility or the gimmicky nature of it. So leave your comments below in the comments section regarding this video and stay tuned for more more urban emergency preparedness videos. See you next time.